Hey everyone, welcome back. I know there's been a lot of talk about this giant $4.5 trillion bill floating around. Some call it the stimulus bill, others the tax bill, and honestly, most people have no clue what's actually in it. It's easy to see why. It's thousands of pages long, packed with stuff no one has time to read. So I wanted to sit down and really break out some of the key pieces for you here, so you have a better idea of what's actually in this thing, and more importantly, what might actually affect you. Now, before I dive in, I want to mention an article I found that does a pretty solid job summarizing it. I looked at a bunch of them, to be fair, but this one stood out. It's not brand new, it's from a couple days ago, but it's well written and gives a decent overview, so I thought, let's use that as a jumping off point. I'll share it here on the screen in a second so you can see it for yourself, but I really want to focus on the things that I think will impact the most people. Because, let's be real, some of the stuff in this bill is buried so deep in the weeds it won't matter to anyone watching. So let's skip that and stick to the things you might actually see in your own life. But first, and I have to say this because it's awesome, I want to give a huge shout out to Anthony Raymond. He's one of the folks in this community, along with 3,000 others, who reached out to that team of trusted advisors I keep telling you about to get help with their Medicare plans. Anthony actually left me a comment the other day saying he called them, had a great experience, and ended up with a better plan and better coverage. That's fantastic to hear. Anthony, thank you so much for sharing that. It really means a lot. And if you're one of the 70 million people on Medicare, honestly, do yourself a favor and give them a call. It's 100% free. They'll go through all the plans available to you, and you might save a ton of money. On average, seniors are saving around $1,100 just by making that call. That's not small change. Anyway, back to the bill. Let's talk about some of the key stuff in there. One thing that's getting a lot of attention is the elimination of taxes on tips and overtime pay. That's right, tips and overtime are no longer going to be taxed. But don't get too excited about Social Security taxes going away. That's not in there. It can't be legally because this bill is being done through budget reconciliation, which can't be used to reform Social Security taxes. So that's off the table for now. Another big thing, especially for the seniors in this community, is the boosted senior deduction on your federal tax return. It's going from $1,600 up to $6,000. Let's be clear, this is not a check the government is mailing you. It's a bigger deduction you can claim on your taxes if you're 65 or older, reducing your taxable income. If you're married filing jointly and your income is under $150,000, you get $12,000 in extra deductions between the two of you, on top of the standard $30,000 deduction. So that's $42,000 total. That's honestly pretty substantial. It's not forever, though. It's only good through 2028. Still, it's a nice break for the next few years. Now, for those with kids, there's a small bump in the child tax credit. It's going from $2,000 to $2,200. Honestly, I think they're being a little stingy here. They talked about $2,500 at one point, even $5,000 in earlier proposals, but nope, it's $2,200. So it's better than nothing, sure, but not exactly generous. Still, it's indexed to inflation going forward, so it'll adjust a little bit over time. For business owners, there's another provision worth noting. They're restoring the 100% deduction for business equipment and similar expenses. It had dropped to 40%, but they're pushing it back to 100%, retroactive to January 20th of this year. If you run a business, definitely talk to your accountant about that. It could be a big benefit. I'm not your CPA, but it's something to ask them about. There's also a big change for those on food stamps or Medicaid. If you're an able-bodied adult without dependents, a BOD, as they call it, they're raising the age for mandatory work requirements from 55 up to 65. That means if you're in that group, you'd need to do 80 hours of work, volunteering, school, or training per month to keep benefits. That's a pretty big shift. And they also tweaked the definition of dependent for these rules. It was going to be anyone 6 and under, which is ridiculous, but they bumped it back up to 13 and under. So kids 14 and up aren't counted as dependents for these requirements. And one other change, this one kind of surprised me, they're talking about implementing a $35 copay for Medicaid. Right now, if you're on Medicaid, you're probably used to paying next to nothing, like $1 or $3 for a visit. But $35? That's a big jump. Anyway, those are the pieces I think will matter most for people watching. There's a ton more in this bill, way more than I could possibly cover here, but these are the highlights that will hit the biggest share of the population in one way or another. Some of it's helpful, some of it's controversial, some of it feels half-baked, but it's what we've got right now. I'll keep following it as it moves along and share any new details I find. Meanwhile, if you're on Medicare and haven't yet called that team of advisors, honestly, what are you waiting for? It's totally free, no obligation, and you might save a ton of money or get better coverage. Anthony Raymond did it, 3,000 others here did it, and they're thrilled they did. If you do end up calling them, let me know how it goes. Leave me a comment with the word chapter in it so I can find it easily. I love hearing these stories, and I'd be happy to give you a shout out in an upcoming video.
If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss updates. Hit that like button if this was helpful. Share it with friends, family, neighbors, especially those on Medicare. You could be saving them serious money. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Check out the other videos on the channel if you want to dive deeper. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.